Hello, my name is Louis Reed. I am a senior here at Amherst, and this is my final project for Spike Lee's Joints. I will be narrating one of my favorite Spike Lee movies, 25th Hour, and you should have started this movie immediately after you started this video for my narration. So I've been studying Spike Lee all semester. I have studied specifically 25th Hour the past day or two. And now I will be providing what is in place in most special features sections of DVDs, where as the movie goes, I will talk about it, give my insight, my personal opinion, and thoughts, especially after having just watched a lot of Spike Lee movies this semester. It's very interesting how who also worked on this movie was also the director of both Frida and 8 Mile. I didn't know that prior to reading up on it before now, but in thinking about that, just how 25th Hour is shot in such a gritty sense, it's very similar to how 8 Mile was shot. 8 Mile came out after this too, so I'm sure this definitely set the tone for the director when he was working on that he wanted to replicate something along these lines. How it's shot in such dark tones that are in some ways similar to even Bamboozled almost. How people are kind of washed out and very cold. Goes with the theme, I guess. Going to jail for 7 years. Pretty cold. Wow, I haven't watched this movie in a while either. So this movie was based on a book who's written by the same man that actually wrote the Game of Thrones books, which is interesting because these are both very, very different. You wouldn't exactly equate either, but good writing is good writing. And so that was written by him, and then he wrote the script. And after writing the script, it was pretty much passed on to Spike Lee, and that's when Spike Lee got to do his thing with it. So the writer of both the book and the screenplay did not have much in her hand in the actual development of the film beyond those points. And speaking of the book that it's from, the person in the person's company who actually discovered it was Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire, right, who played Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire is his company that brought the book to light, and thought it would be a great idea to turn it into a film, and brought it to Spike. And Tobey had plans to play Monty originally, which, thinking about it now, I could not imagine. Edward Norton is so good. But originally it was Tobey Maguire. And then Spider-Man came around, and he jumped at the bit to, do the blockbuster. But I think that worked out, because personally I would much rather see Edward Norton. Of course, having seen him do it now, it's easier to say that, but I don't know. Peter Parker, couldn't see it. And here we go, diving into it. Very cold shots throughout this whole movie. This picture right here even kind of sets the tone. These blues, and it's very, very gritty. So this was Spike Lee's first film after 9/11. I'll talk more about that as the movie goes along. But to date, nobody had truly captured the essence of New York post 9/11. And it's interesting how you can listen to the music right now, and throughout the film, it was a choice by Spike Lee to use music that had this sort of Middle Eastern feel to it, which is an interesting choice post 9/11, and creates different feelings in different people, but it's a bold strategy indeed. So there are very powerful shots of New York post 9/11. These are the light beams standing where the Twin Towers used to. There you go. For those that didn't not get that, there used to be two buildings standing right there. And this is one of the first films to capture New York in this essence and not duck and hide from the emotions that were running extremely high at this point in time, but try to tackle them head on. Spike Lee is the only person that could really do that justice, so it's great that he was the first one to have an opportunity to go at it. The music is extremely powerful. The name of the artist, yes, Spike wanted an Arabic Islamic voice quote. And this is the same person that scored. He's been scoring his film since Jungle Fever. Yeah, he used someone who sang on the Eyes Wide Shut soundtrack. The Yos. I haven't heard that term since The Wire. That shot kind of shows how alone Monty is in this world. Just him and his dog walking down the cold cement. Nobody else, which kind of speaks of what's to come in his world that he made for himself. He really didn't have any real friends, which is why, as we see who he's hanging out with in his last day, or wants to at least. All from his old life. Continuing to not only walk alone, but be on these streets that are somehow empty, which in New York City is quite rare. Spike Lee uses as many opportunities in this film as possible to show off the range and diversity of those that live in New York City, from what he started walking with the graffiti on the wall and the homeless man giving him money, to Coventry Prep School here with people whose parents could afford to buy islands, all within walking distance of each other. There's only one city in the country where that happens, and that's New York City in its essence right there. Highest of highs, and people in the lowest of lows. All just a block away. Heartbreaker. Philip Seymour Hoffman. Rest in peace. It's almost even more interesting in this scene looking at the other students' faces as opposed to Philip Seymour Hoffman's, like his and the other boy and the girls and everybody looking at him. Anna Paquin. Anna Paquin was actually not the number one choice for this role, which is interesting because she absolutely kills it. But they had another actress, and to quote Spike Lee, there was a problem. So she was removed, and Anna Paquin was her replacement, and had to learn extremely quickly because the removement happened very close to the shooting time. So Anna was not given much time of her own to get everything together, to prepare. But obviously she did and succeeded. I really cannot even imagine another actress necessarily playing her nearly as well. This was, well, the first time I ever saw Anna was in X-Men, a very different role, as Rogue, not nearly as outgoing. However, I believe this movie came out before. Again, the theme of loneliness that we see between not only Monty, Edward Norton's character, but also here, Philip Seymour Hoffman. No sense of togetherness in the classroom, in work, very alone, and as a result, here comes Anna. But the theme of a lack of family and struggleness and no friends goes on throughout. The music that Spike Lee chooses is great, almost because it's so painful. Just makes you cringe at this situation, and it just makes you anxious, feeling Philip Seymour Hoffman's all kinds of struggles in this situation. With this extremely inappropriate conversation with a student. Once again, alone. And here we have Barry Pepper, one of his greatest roles to date, indeed, as the aggressive Wall Street trader. Even though Monty might be a drug dealer, Frank Slattery is indeed the most aggressive. Oh, parents are calling. Gonna start a new vid. Continue the vid.